I remember when the news came out that Ubisoft had been in talks with potential publishers about acquiring some of their IP. There were some folk on the Xbox side that said, man, it'll be nice if Ubisoft could, give or sell some of their Tom Clancy IPs to Microsoft. Immediately, my buzzard went off and I said, nope, Microsoft does not need more IP. They need tight management. I have 2 videos that I made on that they needed to go down, buckle down on the IP that they have and deal with it and ensure that those games come out. These layoffs, a sad thing, terrible as they may be. I don't like layoffs. I've been subject to to 2 layoffs, different, one from one from big corpo, the other one from corpo franchise. And I can tell you that they are not pleasant, especially when you have a family to take care of. So far be it from me to ever dog or on anybody that gets a layoff or use layoffs as some kind of a tool to beat someone in the head, like some of these shameless fanboys are doing. Y'all better walk away from this, because if it touches a nerve, I'm bringing you out all into the public square so that we can actually see the kind of entity that you are. Anonymity and a keyboard doesn't hide the nasty that you're doing. You know yourselves. Anyways, this video, I want to point out to something that I think is absolutely horrendous in my opinion. Let's go ahead and start with some images and some pictures. You got a game studio. Game studio needs to make money. Game studio makes game. Game goes out, game sells, game makes money. Now, the time that you infuse the money into the game studio and the time that you need the money to come out is usually your, investment timeline, and you're looking for what's called ROI, ROI. I think within Xbox, there has been some mismanagement here with how they've actually gone ahead with their timeline for ROI in terms of some of their studios. I'm going to explain. As much as I've credited them, let me make sure I spell this very well. As much as I've credited them for ensuring that ROI kept their studios open, I see this game called Everwild being developed by Rare. It's been canceled amid the layoffs. You know what's crazy? Let me just go ahead and show you what made me go, what? The game was being developed for such a long time. That's where I thought, this is wild. This says that Rare, hold on, Jason Schreier is reporting that Rare is pretty much canceling, or Xbox has canceled Everwild in development. And as of this writing, we don't know how many people that have been in that studio have pretty much been affected by the layoffs. On Reddit, people are citing VGC and saying that this game has been in development for almost 10 years. Excuse me? When did you become Rockstar that you have the audacity to keep a game in development for 10 years? There should be a deadline for a prototype for a development team. This is not a one-man show. I'm in the phase of developing my prototype, and it's just me and the developers that I'm working with. I'm the sole funder of the project. If I develop my prototype in 10 years, it's because it was just me. If there's a studio, the managers in that studio need to set a deadline to get this prototype out. My goodness. How long was this game sitting in development spiral and somebody kept getting away with not giving results? And here we are, studio doesn't have ROI, and we're seeing layoffs. I'm talking about the gaming division. I don't know about what anybody else is doing, and I've never shipped a game. I get it, but man, I have spent money on this game development thing, and I can tell you it burns, bro. It is not easy. If I show you what I have and I show you the amount of money I've spent, you're going to almost laugh and then pity me. It's terrible. But I can't imagine a multi-billion-dollar company, multi-trillion-dollar company, having a studio underneath them and not understanding efficiency, while other entities like Sega be churning out games as if it's no man's business. Capcom be churning out games as if it's it's insane. What are the managers doing? What expectations are they holding their staff to? I get it, crunch, but a decade? Bruh, I got a child that is a decade old. Do you know what it is? They still probably conceptualized this game when this guy was born. And now he's like a gamer. And he's sitting there going, so dad, where's this game that you told me that they've been conceptualizing? Poor management. There is no other way that you can actually go ahead and explain this stuff. Now, here's the problem. Game development suffers from a lot of turnover. A lot of turnover. It's insane. And I don't want to bring out, drama, but everybody's going to remain anonymous in this whole thing. I remember when I was doing my first prototype, I was working with a series of, developers and people working on all kinds of stuff. And I can tell you that I am the least, when I see something that can be dramatic, I walk away. But managing people is not easy. And something went down and I didn't even know. Two of my programmers, one of them was working on a system, another one was modifying something in relation to that system, went ahead and pretty much did away with an entire code base, small set, that the other guy had written that was working for one of our combat system mechanics, and commented, didn't know what the code was about, so I just went ahead and removed it. The other guy that saw that his code had been treated like that quit the project. Bruh, I'm telling you, imagine this crap on a large scale, right? And so, yes, I understand that there's turnover. I understand that there are constraints. But for crying out loud, what are the custodians doing? Xbox, Microsoft, are you kidding me? Your peers in the industry they're killing it. They are killing it. Now, this is not every studio, but the bigger you get, the more management you need and the more expectations need to be set. I suspect, as sad as it may be, that these tweaks to restructuring are designed to do the thing that Sony was trying to do when Marvel Spider-Man 2 came out, where they wanted to lay off 75 to 100 staff, and the leaks showed that they were trying to put them on improvement plans to get them out, which is weird. People who were not necessarily performing. Now, I'm not saying that all these layoffs are from people who weren't performing. God forbid. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this restructuring in the organization is probably, in a sense, due to bloat. They bloated themselves. They didn't pay attention to themselves. And as crazy as it sounds, Phil Spencer, as much as I like you, as much as I mean, from a leadership perspective, you have done a lot, in my opinion, for Xbox, in just me watching from the outside how you've carried this company. This buck stops at your feet. That's what leadership is about. This is on you. This is on you. You got to eat it. You usually eat your L's. That's one thing I respect about you. I hope you hold this L too and pay very close attention, because tenure at Microsoft is not going to be forever. You got to create a culture of tight management and heavy accountability with your teams, so that your teams can be successful, so that they don't find themselves in this area, so that they can scale and dodge huge swaths of these kinds of restructuring when it comes down to it. That's what I believe. It's not easy to manage a lot of people. It's not easy to manage a lot of big projects and a lot of big money, but they pay you the big bucks. Your salary is different from that of a classroom teacher, and a classroom is even way crazier in some cases. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, but I've worked with people of different age groups. So, a classroom is not much different in many cases too, but could be crazy. But again, this is where I think management needs to start looking very carefully at what's going on. And you know what's crazy too is, ladies and gentlemen, is all this stuff that I've said is sometimes it doesn't even matter. The company may just want to hit specific targets for shareholders, and they go ahead and restructure anyways. That's literally how my first eye-opening layoff, that's how it came about. That's how it came about. Big tech company. I won't mention the name. Networking is what they do. Pick your poison. And so That's this sad reality that we're in, especially now. It's bad. Very bad. I pray that those that are affected will bounce back on their feet. Thanks for watching. Talk to me in the comment section. Peace out.